Veterans Day, a day celebrated for the 11th hour on the 11th day of the 11th month, based on the end of World War I, but not exactly. You see, that date and time is only a day of armistice. When the Germans found themselves outgunned and outmanned, they agreed to take a break from fighting with the Allies while sitting in a dingy, war-torn railroad cars stuck just outside of Compiègne, France. They called this agreement only an armistice, a temporary ceasefire, a give us a moment to catch our breath. One that lasted through the negotiations to peace in the Hall of Mirrors of Palace Versailles, just outside of Paris, France. And on June 28, 1919, exactly 5 years to the day of the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand, which also marked the start of the war in Europe, the war to end all wars concluded with the signing of the Treaty of Versailles. It marked the day of peace between Germany and most of the Allied powers. So why do we celebrate the 11th hour of the 11th day in the 11th month? Well, that's because in our mind's eye, the end of conflict between people is always more important than the political outcome on a piece of paper. In the United States, there were several days of remembrance for the end of battles and wars. But nothing quite like what took place with Armistice Day. A day that actually distinguishes the war from the warrior. As stated by George Washington, the willingness with which our young people are likely to serve in any war, no matter how justified, shall be directly proportional to how they perceive how the veterans of earlier wars were treated and appreciated by their nation. This is why we call it Veterans Day. Dwight D. Eisenhower stated, "In order to ensure proper widespread observance of this anniversary, all veterans organizations, and the entire citizenry will wish to join hands in the common purpose." And this is why we celebrate it on the origin date of Armistice Day, that led to a moment of silence and then to the planting of poppies. But now it is a day for us to recognize all those who have served our country and still stand with us today. As we are reminded by Ronald Reagan, freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. It has to be fought for and defended by each generation. We celebrate Veterans Day on the anniversary of the armistice that ended World War I, the armistice that began on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. The timing of this holiday is quite deliberate in terms of historical fact, but somehow it always seems quite fitting to me that this day comes deep in autumn, when the colors are muted and the days seem to invite contemplation. Although there are many to remember who sacrificed their lives in these endeavors, for their loved ones near and far, and for the ability of us to maintain our freedoms and liberties. There are many who sacrificed everything and survived while dutifully serving our nation. Veterans Day is also known as Remembrance Day, born of a truce that led to a moment of silence and then to the planting of poppies. But now, it is a day for us to recognize all those who have served our country and still stand with us today. Do not spend your time giving a casual comment of thank you for your service to a veteran, because they will be the first to tell you they were just doing their job, and in some ways, expect that you too would have done the same. Instead, take the time out and give them the respect of what they deserve. Ask them to tell you what they did. Have a conversation with them and listen closely to their stories. That would be the best way you could honor any veteran, to let them know that you see them, you hear them, and their story is just as important for what they did to keep you safe. Happy Veterans Day to all those who served, and God bless you.